Hello and welcome to a new vlog and ship video, and today we're taking a look at a cruise with the gentleman. We were invited by Van Loon to join a short cruise to get known to the ship, and this video has been done in cooperation with ReiseJung, because with ReiseJung we will charter the ship in the year 2026 for a cruise on the Main-Danube Canal, and we will also charter the sister ship, the Nobleman, in 2026 as well. In Mainz I boarded this wonderful cruise ship that I showed to you in my last video, and from there we are sailing via Rüdesheim to Koblenz. Here you can see my cabin. Of course I showed the cabins to you in the last video, but we can take a closer and more detailed look now. We can start with a bathroom, which is very nice with a smart layout. We have a very nice shower with a rain shower. We have a lot of storage space here and a smart layout with a lot of space also on the toilet, which is not the case on all river ships. Here we have a proper desk with power sockets. We have a lot of storage space here as well as a minibar available. Of course we have a big wardrobe and some more additional storage space next to it, so there is a lot of space available. We have also a nice seating area in my deluxe cabin, and of course we have nightstands with power sockets right next to the bed, reading lights, comfortable bedding of course available as well, a lot of space right next to the bed as well. So it is a very nice and beautiful cabin. Of course we do have a big TV as well. Here we can see the cabin once again. Of course we can take also another look into the beautiful bathroom. And now I can show you my highlight, and that is the Juliet balcony. As explained in the last video, you just press a button and then the window goes down and you can stop at every point. That's a big advantage to the French balcony. Of course you can also open a French balcony only a little bit, but it might happen that it will open itself with the next gust of wind, or also somebody from outside could push it open. But here the Juliet balcony locks in a position you want it to have, so you can leave it just open for a little bit of fresh air in the night without feeling unsafe. So this is a very nice upgrade to a French balcony. After taking a closer look at my cabin, we went into the Grandeur Bistro for a snack and some very nice sweets, and then we enjoyed the first drink whilst leaving Mainz, sailing past Wiesbaden, Biebrich and Schierstein and sailing through the beautiful Rheingau. Then there was a welcome cocktail with sparkling wine and of course some canapes whilst we were sailing through the Rheingau, and then it was also already time for dinner. As you can see, you're sitting very close to the water. There are fantastic views from the big panoramic windows in the restaurant, and here you can see the amazing food, and I was really surprised in a positive way. Tuna tataki, my favorite, and the best salmon I had on the ship so far, followed by a lava cake, so it was a perfect menu. I was very surprised by the food quality because it was amazing, some of the best I ever had on a river cruise ship. And Van Loon promised us that it wasn't the same as always, it wasn't better than usual because it was a promotional cruise. Once we arrived in Rüdesheim, we left the ship and visited the Dudelsack Scottish pub and walked back through the completely empty Drosselgasse back to our beautiful Gentleman, where we also had a final drink before it was time to go to sleep, because on the next morning I wanted to wake up rather early because we were sailing through the beautiful Middle Rhine Valley. So here we are back on board. Now we're heading into the bar for one final drink of the day. As you can see, we were one of the last, and there was a nice local bedtime treat gifted to me in the cabin, so that was also quite a nice idea. The next morning I woke up and enjoyed the view from my Juliet balcony, and soon after we were setting sail and heading to Koblenz, our next and final destination, and it was time for a very nice breakfast. As you can see, there's a nice selection of hot and cold food. There is fresh orange juice, a very nice selection of cold cuts, bread, and there are also some smoothies that can be ordered at the table, and there are also additional hot meals that can be ordered directly from the kitchen. In the meantime, we were sailing past my favorite part of the Middle Rhine Valley, the castle Pfalzgrafenstein. Shortly after this beautiful castle, we are sailing past Oberwesel, and then we are reaching the most famous site of the Middle Rhine Valley, which of course is the Loreley. It's the highlight for most people. For me, it's not as beautiful as Pfalzgrafenstein, but of course also always a beautiful site. Of course, there are also a lot of other river cruise ships here in the most beautiful part of the Rhine. We were then sailing past St. Goar and St. Goarshausen, past another beautiful castle, which is the Marksburg in Braubach. You can see it here. And then there's one more castle, Castle Stolzenfels, and then we are reaching our destination for today, Koblenz, where we will stay overnight and where the cruise will end tomorrow. But before reaching Koblenz, it was time for another meal. This time it was a very nice lunch menu, and as you can see, the food is not only tasting very well, it's also presented very nicely. So once again, I was surprised by how good the food on board actually was. Then we were invited by Van Loon to join a guided bike tour on the Mosel River. That was a nice idea, and the idea was to show that you can also do some active excursions. Fortunately, our guide didn't seem to be too motivated. There were almost no explanations. He was going rather slowly, and we didn't even make it to our destination and then headed back following the main road. And later on, when I spoke with Van Loon family, they also said that they had the same impression and were not satisfied with the guide, and was also not what they were asking for, because they especially asked for to not cycle along the main road. So it was not the perfect excursion, but that was not the fault of Van Loon. That was just maybe the wrong company that they chose. But in general, it was a nice idea, and I really enjoyed the tour, even though it was not perfect. But that was, as I said, not the fault of Van Loon. Here we are back at our ship, and as it was quite cold and as we were cycling rather slowly, I headed inside straight away to the self-service coffee machine to get a nice hot cup of coffee to reheat, and then I took a break in the cabin, and after that it was nice weather again, so I headed outside with a glass of Aperol Spritz, and in the evening, during a very beautiful sunset, it was time to leave the ship again, because we were invited for a local dinner in a typical German restaurant with very traditional German food. Of course, on this promotional cruise there were a lot of international guests on board, so for them that was of course a highlight. I'm not the biggest fan of this traditional German food, but it was still very nice. And then of course we had another final drink in a panoramic lounge, and then it was time to go to sleep. And on the next morning I woke up. Of course we were still in Koblenz, and as you can see, I just left the window open a few centimeters to get some fresh air, and that's the big advantage of the Juliet balcony. And after another very nice breakfast, it was unfortunately time to say goodbye to the gentleman, but of course only for a short time, because in 2026 we will be back on board with ReiseJung for a cruise on the Main-Danube Canal, and of course we will also be traveling on the sister ship, the Nobleman, in 2026. Here you can see when the next video will be uploaded and the name of the song. As always, I'd like to say thanks for watching, hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, make sure to comment, like, subscribe or share the video link, and I hope to see you in my next video then.